You're watching Into Vietnam Weekend. I'm Tô Anh. In our program, we'll bring you comprehensive news about Vietnam's economy throughout the week, ending January the 15th, following our major stories. January CPI of Vietnam was forecast at 1%. The U.S. Department of Commerce extended to making a final decision on Vietnam traffic anti-dumping duty suit case. And our conversation with Mr. Mark Milley, the Vice President of the U.S. Asian Business Council. But first, let's have a look at figures of the week.
Local news provider NDS Money predicted that January CPI of Vietnam would increase by 1%. The forecast was based on Leontief and ARI models. January CPI was believed to be pressured by price hikes of several commodities, including foods and foodstuffs, household appliances due to high demand ahead of the Lunar New Year. If the forecast is correct, this month's CPI will record its lowest growth compared with adjusted months of the Lunar New Year in the last 10 years.
The Vietnamese Ministry of Finance said in a circular that interest rate for the state's investment credits in Vietnamese dong was fixed at 14.4% per year. At the same time, the interest rate for the state's exports in Vietnamese dong would also be 14.4% per year. The interest rate difference for post-investment support for purchase borrowing loans in Vietnamese dong is 2.4% per year. The rates are applied to credit contracts, post-investment support contracts that were set or took effect from October the 20th of 2011. This circular will be effective from February the 15th this year.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade forecasts total retail sales of goods and services of Vietnam this year to increase by 23% from 2011, totaling nearly 2,450 trillion dong. In 2012, the country will focus on completing the master plan of distribution network and production system, developing the modern distribution system. Besides, the campaign Vietnamese give priority to use Vietnam goods will be further promoted. Last year, total retail sales of goods and services of the Southeast Asian country reached over 2,004 trillion dong.
FDI into Vietnam, including raising capital, was forecast at $15 billion in 2012. It was stated by the Foreign Investment Agency in a conference on economic forecast in 2012-2015 on Tuesday. The actual FDI capital would be at $11 billion and it may increase in the coming years. In 2011, FDI poured into the Southeast Asia country amounted to $14.7 billion. As of the middle of last December, Vietnam had over 13,600 valid FDI projects worth $198 billion. Coming up is summarization about Vietnam's stock market throughout the trading week ending January 13. The two national indexes closed up for the week. They were supported by the gains of blue chips in the last sessions. Liquidity rose sharply in both bourses.
On Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange, VN Index posted gains for all trading days. It closed the week at 354.33 after adding 17.6 points, equaling 5.2%. Average trading volume was sluggish at over 24.9 million units per session. However, the volume rose averagely by 150%, totaling 868 billion dong. On Hanoi Stock Exchange, Ethernet Index only rose 3 out of 5 trading sessions, but it still closed the week at 56.27, representing 0.84 points higher than the week before. The market liquidity increased by 15%. An average of 22.2 million units were traded per day for 182 billion dong. Valuations turned attractive because share prices had dropped sharply in the last few weeks. Besides, the stock market restructuring plan, which was approved by the Ministry of Finance, is expected to rebound the market in the coming time. In terms of foreign investors on the primary bourse, these players bought 60 million units worth 359 million dong, while selling 120 million units for 2.1 trillion dong. This resulted in a net selling of 104 million units worth 1.74 trillion dong. On the north, foreign investors were net buyers of 2.7 million units, totaling 24 billion after they bought 3.3 million units with 30.6 billion dong and sold 582,500 units for 6.3 billion dong.
In the next part of the program, we'll take a look at major macroeconomics and investment events during the past week. The United States Department of Commerce, or DOC, recently decided to extend the making a final decision on the first administrative review of the 7th Vietnamese in-tariff anti-dumping duty. Previously, on September 2011, the department announced the preliminary result of anti-dumping duty rate applied for frozen fillet shellfish imported from Vietnam. After 120 days of reviewing, the department extended its final decision as the time was not enough for analysis. The final decision will be released on the 7th March of this year.
Search engine giant Google has officially announced Vietnam's Cleverest Joint Stock Company as its first high-level partner in Vietnam. This partnership will open up a new development stage for enhancing the support for local business. Thus, customers can apply and utilize online services provided by Google, particularly in the accessibility to largest potential markets via internet with reasonable costs. Cleverest is now one of the biggest Vietnamese advertisers with about 1,000 customers.
Vietnam was reported to be the leading destination for tourism to Asian tourists. That is the result from the 2011 Global Tourism Intentions Survey conducted by Vitra, surveyed more than 11,000 tourists from 23 countries on tourism destinations they plan to come and their interest next time. The result reveals 24% of international tourists planned to Vietnam next time was from Singapore, Thailand, South Korea, and Australia. With unique cultural, lyrical, picturesque natural beauty, and reasonable cost, Vietnam was among the most attractive destinations for Asian tourists.
The State Bank of Vietnam and the World Bank on Thursday signed an agreement for a $973 million loan contract for Vietnam to carry out 2 projects in infrastructure construction, including 2 highways and an urban development. Specifically, the World Bank will provide Vietnam $613 million in a $1.5 billion project to build a highway in the central region and a constitutional capacity of highway development for the Ministry of Transport. The bank will also provide the Southeast Asian country $210 million to carry out a project to develop medium-scale urban areas in the northern provinces.
Japan-based iron retailer company recently inked an investment contract worth $100 million with a Vietnamese real estate company on a shopping center project named Celadon City in Ho Chi Minh City. The project was contracted in an area of more than 3 hectares, which the Vietnamese real estate company is the investor. The project is expected to complete in 2014 and expected to provide the housing market 7 apartments once completed. Another Vietnam company, the investor, will strive to attract Japanese and European investors who are interested in high-tech industries. The investor also plans to pump further investment into 2 other residential areas and service projects worth a combined of $270 million. This plan is set to be in line with Dong Nai's provincial tendency to attract more FDI in high-tech and support industries. The Vietnam Food Association said the country will export 6.5 to 7 million tons of rice this year, of which it will export 3 to 3.5 million tons in the first 6 months. 2011 was also the very first year when the country had trade surplus with Russia, export totaling $1.38 billion, up 66% over the same period last year. Meanwhile, the country also imported $740 million worth of products from Russia, representing a decline of 26% compared with the same period last year. The two countries recently set the target to raise the bilateral trade to $5 billion in 2013. This year, bilateral trade between the two countries is forecast to see prosperous cooperation, especially in electric power, oil, and gas. Following now is some foreign trade news. The Asian Furniture Industries Council, or AFIC, said Vietnam became the largest exporter of timber and wood products to ASEAN markets last year, with roughly $4 billion of export revenue. Timber and wood products accounted for more than 80% of the country's total exports, a significant increase in level compared with the previous years. ASEAN is expected to become a single market by 2015 with separate united community called ASEAN Economic Community with larger capital flow and labor forces. The Vietnam Food Association said the country will export 6.5 to 7 million tons of rice this year, of which it will export 3 to 3.5 million tons in the first 6 months. The association said the local enterprises will continue maintaining the traditional markets and also target to export to West Africa, China, and some countries in Asia. Vietnamese rice targets to occupy jasmine rice market and 4-5% broken rice, as the rice prices were set to be lower than the same price from Thailand. However, the association added local enterprises this year will face more difficulties due to uncertainties in global market. The Ministry of Industry and Trade has recently granted minimum petroleum import quotas of 10.1 million tons to 13 local enterprises in 2012. It was 3.48 million tons for gasoline, 5.52 million tons for diesel, over 1 million tons for mustard oil. Among 13 enterprises which were granted quota, the Vietnam National Petroleum Corporation was assessed the highest amount of 5.84 million tons, coming next is Petroleum Oil Corporation with 1.26 million tons. In 2011, the minimum petroleum import quotas were nearly 9.98 million tons.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade said this year Vietnam will target the export revenue earned from all export products at $108.5 billion, or $3 million lower than the previous target. Vietnamese export products in 2012 will focus on major export markets like US, European, Japan, Asian, the Middle East, Africa, and India. The ministry said trade promotions for a specific market will be launched differently with separate export products.